Hey folks, this video is going to be a jump boost. We're going to walk up to a object, touch it, and be able to jump and boosty for a while, just like our castle game if you did the Unreal Learning Kit. And after a few seconds, you lose the boost and the thing reappears. This is kind of the advanced version. I'll probably have 2 or 3 videos on this, and the simple one will be the easiest. So let's do the simple one first. We are going to right-click down in the content browser and make a new blueprint. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but I'm excited. We're going to click on the top one that says Actor. We're not going to make any kind of character or player or anything like that. We're going to click Actor. The name of this is important, so I'm going to call this Jump Boost. If you're going to make like 10 pickups, you could call it pickup 1, 2, 3, 4, but I'm going to call mine Jump Boost. This is an empty blueprint. Remember, blueprints in Unreal are generally things that can hold a bunch of other components or objects. In other words, it usually includes like a mesh, like a player or an object, a gun, a weapon, or a pickup or something, and maybe some sounds, and definitely some code. So let's remind ourselves, we just looked at the character blueprint a minute ago. We could see the viewport, construction script we never use, and then the code in the blueprint section. Well, our jump boost we just made has a viewport that shows an empty scene, a construction script, and some blueprint code. This is awesome. Here we go. Let's go add a new mesh. I think maybe we've done this before, a basic version. So I'm going to click the green add button on the left side and come down and make sure I find static mesh, okay? If you click that, and you could rename it, but it's best to just leave the default. This thing can now contain a static mesh. Well, where do I find it? I come over on the right side, and the easiest place is to look down here and drop down the arrow, and you can choose any static mesh from the list here that's built into the default third-person game we're playing. I'm going to go with something silly like, a little question mark thing. I'm going to go with a cube, I guess. There's a few of them, and I don't know which is best. I did this with the cone the first time, and that was a bad idea. That cube is not showing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Now this cube, I'm going to hit to compile. This cube couldn't handle a material at first until I hit compile, and I'm going to switch and go find some kind of material. Is there a shiny, reflective one? Ooh, you're pretty. No, you're not. I know. I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, that took me longer than I thought. There's a lot of bad materials, but I'm sure you can find something you like eventually. If you do not like any of these static meshes, they are called FBX files. If you're smart enough to go on the internet and download an FBX file, if you get it from a website, you have to right-click and extract it and then drag the FBX file into Unreal. Once you've done that, you can come choose the FBX file in the list here, and I can have a video later to show you how to do that, but I wanted to briefly mention it for those who may be a little more computer nerdy. For the rest of us, this is a good setup. Let's get going. I want my cube here, my jump boost, to also add a component that's pretty cool called a oh shoot, there's so many things here. What is it called? Rotating movement. You can just type ROT and it'll limit it down. This component's pretty cool. It has a default script that rotates 0 in the X, 0 in the Y, and 180 degrees every, I don't know, second or so in the Z direction, or in other words, up and down. And this is why I couldn't choose a cone, because it spun and I couldn't even tell. All right, let's compile and save it, and let's drag out our blueprint. Holy cow, you are too big. I'm going to hit play, and I could scale that down, but I'm going to go hit escape and go find a different cube real quick. I'm going to pause this, but I'm going to go back to my jump boost and just choose a different cube from the list and see if there's a... There we go, that other one's smaller. Let's save that. All right. And note that that's just kind of updates. And the cool thing about blueprints is you can have lots of copies of them, right? It's kind of a blueprint, like for a house. It's a, what do you call it? The rules. It's a clonable thing. It's like a book that gets printed several copies, or a magazine or something. I don't know. It's just something you can reuse and recycle, okay? So I'm just going to leave one of these. Sorry, I don't know why I started dragging those out, just to show you that you could. But let's get one of them working before we worry about more of them, all right? So let's go get this bad guy some code. It's pretty good the way it is right now. If you wanted to add more static meshes, you could add another static mesh and group these together. Note that, oh, They're on the same level. Okay, that's interesting. Last time when I added a static mesh, I had one selected, and it put it as a child like that. And you can drag these and rearrange them. If it is part of the arrow tabbed in, it's a child, and it will follow the top one around, which is kind of nice actually, because, oh no, I need this one to be the parent. So I'm going to drag this back out to the root, make it the new root. There we go. And now these guys are part of it. If you've ever done some parenting in Blender or anything else, this is the great granddaddy, the daddy, and the baby. Okay, why do I say that? Well, if I'm going to go add a different shape right here, like the cone, cube, cone, I can't see, the lights just went off. Kobe, rest in peace, buddy. I can add that cone there as a child, and now wherever the cube, the parent, rotates, the leftmost, outermost thing, this child will also follow. Let's go save that real quick and watch it. Okay, and if I swap that around, the cone would not rotate. It would, just the cube would rotate, because that's the one that has, you know what, no, that's not true. The rotating movement, it applies to the whole thing, so we'd be fine. Anyway, I don't like those extra static meshes, so I'm going to remove them, and I'm wasting your time already. Let's go make this darn thing work. Okay, how do I do it? I'm going to go in here. Now, if you've ever seen collision or colliders, that's how we did our soccer game. We had a soccer ball that rolled into a trigger or a collision box that sensed when a goal was scored. Now I could do that with this. I could go add, I could type COL, don't do this, but you could add box collision or something like that and scale it up. And it's not working. I'm going to pause. And you could sense some collision with this using the collider things. Now, I decided for this project, I'm going to do it without collision and colliders. I'm going to do it a different way, and I'll show you that right now. Okay, we're going to come in the blueprints, and we're going to right click and find a thing called hit event. Now there's two of them. There's collision hit event. I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to right click again and type hit. Oh, let's scroll down a bit. Oh, where is it? Component hit. Ooh. Okay, I gotta pause for a second. Maybe I have to have that selected. Yeah, okay, there we go. Now, what's the difference? Well, you just saw I can have several static meshes, okay? This on component hit means this specific component. So if I had, notice the names are the same. If I have 5 static meshes here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would matter which one of these it was. I asked ChatGPT and it said this is best if you have like a complicated object, like a car that could run into walls and maybe the fender gets bent, or that's when the car explodes, is when the front bumper gets hit. That's when you'd worry about components being hit. Now this is if anything in the object is hit, any of the static meshes that have collision or anything. Now I think this one's a little uglier, so I'm actually not going to use the event hit, even though it's a little more appropriate for this whole object being hit. So just remember, you can use either of them. The only thing you need to worry about is the component. The other actor. We're going to use the other actor in this one. And both of those will work. So let's get rid of this one. I'm going to drag this up here, and here we go. How do I know if this worked? I'm going to drag out and print. And say hit. Save it, run it, go play it. Make sure this works. Make sure that you can run, touch this thing, and that it says hit. Now notice hits are a little more dangerous than on collision enter. On collision enter usually only happens once when you go inside of it, and then it stops. And so this one is a lot more repetitive. It can happen a bunch. I've hit it several times with different parts of my robot. Now it's not going to matter in the end, because we're going to disappear this thing, and so let's just keep going. How do I, now this part I think you can do with one little trick. Okay, I want to access my other guy and my robot that touched this and make him speed up. No, we're not doing a speed boost, we're doing a jump boost, but you could do either way. How would I do it? How do I get access to the robot third person character blueprint that just touched me? Well, that's right here, other actor. Not this thing that was hit, not the component from the other guy. We want the whole other actor that touched me. And I'm going to cast to third person, not the game mode. We'll talk about those later, hopefully, but the third person character. If you remember the name of that robot blueprint that we just edited for the run and walks button. Well, what do I want with this guy? He's the thing that, well, anything could have touched me, right? I could have kicked a soccer ball at this. I could have threw one of these blue cubes at it. So the casting first, make sure, hey, check if this is true. The top part is true and the bottom part is false. Check if it's true that that was a third-person character. If it was, well, let's remind ourselves what we want. We want to go in the third-person character blueprint. We want to get access to the character movement stuff so we can change the max walk speed, or if you scroll down a little bit, jump Z velocity. This is 700. This is how high he can jump right now. 700 meters per second is the initial velocity. And remember, you can change anything else here that you think is interesting, but I'm just showing you the two things that I think are the coolest, are most useful. I had a student make a pickup that scales a character when he eats food and makes him fatter, scales his mesh, which is kind of cool, but let's go do this. I'm going to drag off the blue. Remember, the blue is pointing at the blueprint third-person character, this exact name right here for the robot. What did I want from him? I wanted his character movement script. So let's drag off of here, and we're going to type get character movement. And notice that some of these things are exposed, but I don't want to do any of those. Ignore those. We're going to scroll all the way down and get the blue character movement. Okay, this is kind of weird. This is said, hey, robot, touch me. Maybe. If it was a robot, then go fetch that robot's character movement script and do what with it? Let's drag off of there, and we're going to type set jump Z velocity, okay? So getters and setters, we saw in the last video for the walking and running that setting something will change its value, and getting will tell us what the value is. In this case, we just want to go get it. I'm going to leave this little zigzag code here for a minute, and maybe we should play a sound or something too. Let's just make sure this works, okay? I don't want to set my jump Z to 0. He won't be able to jump. I said it was 700, so let's go 1400 to double his jump Z velocity. And that's going to do it for the rest of the game. But let's go see if it works. Play. Boom. Cha. Hoo. Wah. Hallelujah, okay? So I just got my jump Z velocity. Notice that it doesn't add. I'm not adding 1400 every time. I just set it to 1400. And that is a permanent power-up right now, but it works. Let's keep going. I'm going to do this the simple way, kind of simpler to what we saw in the previous video. Let's do a delay, and you can probably figure this out. Delay for amount of time. This is called cooldown time if you watch the other video for the Unreal Castle game, the learning kit. And let's go 5 seconds or something, and you can make a variable if you want to, but you don't need to. And we'll come back here, and we'll just duplicate this, Control D. Drag this over, and we will reset it after the 5 seconds to 700. It's going to be mad at me if I compile that. It says, what jump Z velocity are you setting to 700? Remember, Unreal could have a lot of different things, different characters and stuff that are using character movement components like enemies and friends and NPCs and stuff. So we got to make sure it knows that this character movement component from the blueprint third-person character that touched our static mesh. I'm going to shrink this a little bit so you can see more of this on the side. And we're going to rearrange this in a minute, but let's, I'm going to scroll out and hit save and play. And let's go touch it. Boom. 1 alligator, 2 Mississippi, 3 Alabama, 4 Colorado, and it's expired, and I have to go touch it again. So maybe I can have a puzzle. I have to make it somewhere, and make it over to this other side before it runs out. And, oh, I'm too late. Yep. All right. That's the simple version. Let's add a sound real quick before we move on with the next video. I think we're almost done with this part. I don't like it when it gets too wide. I'm actually going to do a sequence. Okay. Let's do this. Drag up here. Type SEQ. Sequence. And I'm going to do an... Oh, it connected it for me. That's nice. Okay, cool. I'm going to cast that object to third-person controller, and I'll slide these over. Now the delay right here is important. Okay, you got to watch this part. I messed this up earlier. Let's go add a sound. I want to play a sound before as I pick it up. I'm actually going to snip this and type play sound at location. Ah, crap. What location? Well, we got a right tip, click and type get actor location. I like 3D sounds. Don't be lazy and make it a 2D sound when you're trying to make a real game. We're going to get our self. Whenever you see the word self, you look up at the name of this. This is the jump boost we're talking about, one of the 5 in our map, but the specific one, the self, and plug that in the yellow to yellow. It's going to play the sound, and I'm going to choose a built-in sound, camera shutter or something. And let's do that first, and then let's go do the jump Z stuff, okay? And you know what? I'm going to add another pin, and I'm going to snip this, and I'm going to move the... I'm actually going to leave the delay down here. You're going to see why. This is going to explain a problem that I had earlier. I'm going to put these between here and hook this up to number 2. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Save, save, save. Play. Sorry, you need to see that again. Let's explain it real quick. Play the sound first. Second, or 0, 1. Check if this thing that touched my mesh, hit it, is a robot. If it is, then change his jump Z to 1400. Then delay 5 alligators. And then part 3, or step 2, 0, 1, 2, is set it back to 700. Boom, 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 play. Let's go touch it. Okay, this is... Now, that's the part that's going to be kind of glitchy twitchy. I don't like that repeated playing of the sound, which is going to be maybe unavoidable if I do the simple version. But what happens is I didn't get the jump boost. Okay, let's go see if we can explain why. When these were all chained together in one big line, it worked. The sequence runs a little bit differently. It's nice that it organizes things. You can have step 1, 0, step 1, step 2. But can you figure it out? If you want to pause and figure it out, you can. But it took me a while. This delay is the important thing. And the way of saying this is these do not wait. When you do a sequence, 0, 1, and 2, these things run in order like normal, just like we chain them together in a line. But they don't wait for the other one to finish. And if it fails or does something wrong, if it was chained, a fail would break it. But sequences always run 0, 1, 2 in order, and you can add more pins. So I'm going to keep this delay, but I'm going to put it down on part 3. Okay, let's see if this works. So check it out. I'm going to Alt snip or right click and break this link so I can hook this back up to the delay. All I did was move the delay down to part 3. And let's save it and run it again and check it out. Go run over. Touch it. Jump boost is working. And now the delay is 5 alligators before it sets me back to 700 jump boost. Okay, so this will be the first screenshot you'll see. This will be just video 1 of a couple part series, but this is the easiest way to make a jump boost. It's a stationary one. It's always there. Can you think what would make this better or more like a professional video game? Well, if it didn't play that sound 100 times, but every time I hit it, it is going to. If you wanted to avoid that, you could switch this to, you could add a collider like we said earlier and use on collision enter for that collider instead. That would prevent this sound from playing repeatedly like I mentioned earlier. But it still doesn't disappear the pickup, the jump boost. So let's go do that in the next video, but I think this is a good start for right now. Let's do, I'm not going to drag a box and see these because I think it's going to make it polluted. It's going to be hard for you to see what's going on with the nodes and stuff. So I'm actually going to leave it ugly for a minute. Maybe we'll add those at the end of the next video. We'll see you then.